Hey guys, today I'm going to show you a video of us tearing the race car apart. I hope you guys enjoy this video. It'll kind of show you how quick it is to tear these cars apart, but it takes a lot longer to put them together. And once we get it tore apart, I'm going to go ahead and take it to the car wash. In this video, I'm going to do a voiceover to kind of explain to you guys what we're working on and keep you in the loop. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the hood and nose off. The gray-haired guy there is John Nielsen. He's been helping us since the 1980s. He helped my dad, and then he's been helping us. He actually owned the car for a while. As you can see, I'm taking off the front bumper because that's the only way you can take the nose off these cars. And the two pups there are Lewis and Duke. They're English Mastiffs. As you can see, we're putting the bolts back in, so when we go to put the car back together, the bolts and the hardware are all together. Lewis and Duke like to wrestle a lot, if you couldn't tell. John's taking the hydraulic hoses off the pump. The steering pump, and I'm taking off the right side, that way I can unhook the battery and the hoses from the right side of the car. The guy in the black jacket's Brandon. He's been helping me for a solid year. He helped me off and on for a few years, but he was in college and now he's back, so he's been helping me a lot. He's been a big help. And if you didn't know before, that's my brother Mitch in the blue sweatshirt. This was his car before me. He's kind of been organizing the shop in this video so far. That way it's easier for us to put things away where they're supposed to be. And John is taking off the tie rods off the front end. He keeps the tire on, that way he has leverage when he's taking it apart. And Brandon's taking the left side door off. I'm not sure why he's not using the impact, but he's ratcheting it away. Then you're going to see me bring out this my dad's work chair, because my dad broke his tibia and fibula, so he's not able to walk for 6 weeks, which is kind of a big loss for us because he's the main brains behind assembling the cars. So now all he can do there is sit and talk, which he's very good at. You can see Mitch and I are discussing on the right front whether we're going to just take the 4 bolts off and get it off the car, otherwise we're going to take it apart and massage the parts and make sure nothing's seized or bent. Obviously that was too important of a job for me, so we put John on it, and I'm taking the seat apart, which I will basically retire on. Because with the full containment seats, they're so big in small space that you have to take them completely apart. John is taking the upper control arm off right now. And when he takes that off, he can pop the spring out too if he wants to. Mitch brought the toolbox closer, that way it's easier for us to grab tools and start walking to the other side of the shop. Brandon and Mitch got the back end lifted up now because they're going to start tearing the rear end out of it. Mitch realized it was going to be a wet day, so he brought his carpet in so that way his little knees don't get wet. As you can see, John basically has the whole front end torn apart. He's got the springs out, he's got the brake calipers off and everything. While I'm still messing with the seat, he basically took the whole front end apart before I even could get the seat out. And Mitch is laying under the car right now, taking the control arms off the back. And as you've seen, Brandon just brought up a spring and a shock. Brandon has a drive shaft in his hand there, and he set it down. The way it's looking, they're going to have the whole rear end out by the time I get the seat out. As I'm sure you guys can see, it's pretty easy to take a race car apart. Putting it back together right is always the tough. But John could basically do it in his sleep, and Mitch has been doing it since he could barely walk, helping my dad in the garage, so he's pretty good at it too. And I'm learning, but everything takes time. As you can see, John, the silver thing on the ground by John is the steering box. He got that pulled out. Finally got the dang seat out, so I was probably screaming and cheering there. And now I'm putting it back together, that way when it comes time to assemble, we have all the hardware in the right spot. While John's working on the front end, I moved the camera here to the back so you guys can see what Mitch and Brandon are working on. They're taking the rear end out. They got the trailing arms out, and it's the rear end's just hanging on the chains. And Mitch here in a sec is going to bring a ratchet strap and strap up the rear end so you could unhook the chains for an easy way to take the rear end out, which is quite graceful, other than the way Brandon and I probably would have done it. We probably would have used a jack or something. Mitch can be pretty clever. Like a glove.
Everything you said we already knew, more or less.
Rear end can be pretty heavy with everything on it, so you can see them two oxes are still struggling to carry it over to the trailer. And here we're draining the fuel out. We just take a hose and we blow air into it, and it blows the fuel right out into the fuel jugs. You want to empty the fuel out before you take the fuel cell out. And we decided we better take all the panels off, because when we take it to Victory, we want to make it as easy as possible, so we'll take the decking and everything out too. I think this is Brandon trying to tell me what to do, but here's the right side of the car. What it looks like, it's pretty much stripped down, but there's still the batteries still in there, and the hoses and the shifting linkages and stuff. As you can see, I take pictures at times, so on assembling the car, it's easier to remember by just looking at the pictures. Phones can be useful at times. John's taking all the lead brackets off, because we have to put chunks of lead throughout the car on. Here's me taking the ground wires off and stuff off the battery. And this is Miss trying to talk me into getting the shifting linkages. I have to hold the other end of the wrench. Usually we don't have this many people working on a car at once, but we're all kind of anxious to work on a car, and we basically only have one car to work on right now, so it's kind of nice to have everybody together working on it. It's too bad my old man's banged up. Always he'd.
Now that we got the car tore apart, we just got her loaded up, so we're gonna take it to the car wash. She's pretty clean, but not as clean as I'd like it to be, so she's got some grease on her, and before we take it to Victory, we want it to look nice for them.